There we go. Welcome, everybody. We are back for a segment of the Back to School Conference 2021. I'm Elle Ingalls, your host. I'm the creator of the Pressure-Free Method, which is an on-the-go stress management method. It helps you gain control over anxiety, stress, anger, feelings of shame, all sorts of things that take us out of our game. And in this segment, I wanted to bring on a parent and a student who are familiar with the pressure-free method, who've worked with me, who understand what it's about, really to get a parent and student perspective of some of the stressors that people are going through, especially in the last 18 months, or if I don't even know when you might be watching this, so it could be, basically beginning in 2020, March 2020, and all that happened in education and all the changes that people had to go through. So welcome, Matt and Nora Block. Thanks for being with me today.
Hello, Al. Great to be here.
And if you're watching the recording, we just got Zoom bombed. and there's all these people still trying to come into our beautiful Zoom room, and I'm not letting them in. So I had to use my pressure-free method just to
let them in, Al. Let them in. You're no fun.
Probably those people need some pressure-free.
Yes.
So we met, it would have been 2 years ago, before COVID, right? And we worked 2 years ago, Nora, didn't we?
Yeah.
So Nora, can you share a little bit about, it was kind of crazy. This lady's going to come, we're going to meet, we're going to see if you want to work with me as a coach. And I would love for people to know just like, what were some of the things you might have been experiencing, and why did you think that pressure-free might help you?
Well, I was going into 8th grade, and I was really, I still am, but I'm really into cross country. And just like when I first started pressure-free, the thought of like starting at the start line of a race would like freak me out to the point where like I would couldn't feel my legs. I was so nervous. I'd get like really bad stomach cramps. I remember that. And then I feel like that was something that really helped me. And then that year I ran really well and continued into freshman year last year and going into my sophomore year this year. Really excited because it just helped me as a runner. So that was one thing. And that pressure-free helped with a lot. And and also just grades and school-wise helped me relax a lot more about that, which I wasn't even planning on originally with pressure-free. I thought it was going to be just running, but then I ended up using the tools more in my everyday life than I thought it was actually going to.
Oh, wow, you bring up a really great point, because sometimes people hire me someone like your dad might hire me because they just want things to go better at work. But then things go better at home too.
Yeah.
So that's a really great point. Wow, the starting line, I'd forgotten about that. And I know kids who lose it. They have to go run in the bushes right before the race. And so there's so many things that come into the start of a race, or even the night before, all those different things that happen. Yeah, beautiful. And so what have been some of the results that you see? Like when you're on the starting line now, what's it like for you?
I'm a lot less nervous, and I feel like now on my team, I'm the motivator, at the start line. I'm okay, let's do a couple more run out just to get the nerves out. I feel like I'm more of the hype person now because I'm just less nervous. I'm trying to get everybody to calm down, saying no matter what happens, this is just one race out of our season. It's going to be great. I feel like that also helps me telling other people that also. But and it's helped me get my times down a lot. Last year I made it to the state meet my freshman year, which was an amazing experience, and I really want to go back there. So I feel like a lot of it is pressure-free based, and it just motivated me to train hard, and to not be stressed out helps so much at the start line. And also grade wise, and last year during COVID, my school was going through hybrid and online and back into full person, so it was very irregular. So pressure free kind of just helped me calm down after all of that. So
That's really beautiful. And we did some more work together. So
Yeah.
that's one thing. I had one of the speakers earlier today, Gail. We've worked together several times over the years because new challenges come into play. And there's just so much more to work on all the time. So
Yeah.
that's fabulous that we actually did some work when COVID hit, because it was just different challenges, different stressors. And then you and I had talked too about the social. So now in your school, they kind of split you and you're not with some of your best friends.
Yeah.
And when it comes to 8th, 9th, like those years, friendships, that's huge, right?
Yeah.
So there's the social challenges too. Matt, what have you seen, since we did some work together with Lauren?
Yeah, when we initially met 2 years ago, I think it was about this time, 2019, we were chatting and you were, just kind of telling me what you did. And I immediately thought you'd be great to work with my daughter, Nora. And at that time, it was very much focused on sports and helping her with her cross country. And now, having gone through 2020 and all of the new challenges that brought to everyone, I would say teenagers experience that in a even more difficult way than others. But that, brought on challenges with school, which, Nora always just really was comfortable and did well and had great grades. And then in last year's model and with all the ups and downs of the schedule changing, it really, really was a challenge, both academically, but then, as you just mentioned, just socially with her friends and her network that were all scattered. And so I think that really brought the pressure-free techniques to the forefront and applying them to these new challenging areas rather than sports. I think was a blessing that Nora had that base, and then to have you spend another session with her and talk more specifically about what was happening with her now was great.
Beautiful. Nora, just in general, what are the things that you see students stressing out about today?
Well, I feel like a lot of, more for, this is like kind of like for me, but like going into this year, my school is going fully open. So that kind of stresses me out because I don't know, because last year we were in hybrid, and we would go fully in person for a little bit, and then we just get shut down within 24 hours. Our school would just say, okay, tomorrow morning you're not going in, we're doing Zooms, and that would just scare me. So that's a big stressor for me, and I think a lot of other people are kind of feeling that, just because last year is so stressful with going in and out all the time to school, not really knowing. And so that's another big stressor this year for me. And yeah, that's my biggest one right now.
Just the structure of it. The uncertainty of not knowing what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Do you have stress over getting ill? Do many students, do you feel, have that kind of stress going on?
I don't necessarily, but I think some of my friends do. I've been able to talk to more friends recently. So that's also been really nice, is getting back this summer with friends. And some of them are stressed going into school, just about getting sick with the new Delta variant and stuff coming in. And so a lot of them are stressed about getting sick. But I'm not necessarily stressed about getting sick myself. I'm more worried about just going in and out of school models and stuff like that. But yeah.
Yeah. And I remember you and I talking too that some of the parents of your friends were really, really stressed about even allowing their child to go to school. So there's that too, right?
Yep. Yeah.
or doing
It's-
anything.
It's interesting just with a lot of these big, things that are happening, there's very different views. And I think the, polarization that's happening in a lot of areas in our world right now, political and otherwise, is really, I think, at the teenage level and student level, it's there as well, because you have different views on, whether you view COVID as a real health risk, like we just talked about, or if you view mask wearing one way, or you view vaccinations. And so there's a lot of the divide happening just within, Nora and her friend group. And it puts an added stress and strain to an already, stressful time where you're, starting a new school and coming in and you're going through all the challenges of being a teenager, driver's training and body changes and many, many things. But then to lob that on top, I think has really been pretty stressful for some of the youngsters.
Definitely. And how about for parents? What do you see, Matt?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to know the right way to really help and support without, kind of trying to, really listen and learn how, Nora's feeling. I have another daughter who's also a teenager, a couple of years younger than Nora, and to provide them the tools that they need without solving their problem. And then that's difficult for me as a parent, because you want to help and you want to solve the problems, but then some of these problems are so challenging that I don't have the answer. So I couldn't solve it if I wanted to. And so I think, that's been hard as a parent to, have that want and wanting to really take away the stress from my daughters, but not being able to.
Right. I think it's incredibly stressful. I mean, the problems are like, so are there things that you and your wife have been doing just to try and keep things on an even keel as we're going through all this?
Yeah, I think, I didn't go through pressure free, but I I certainly have picked up on, some of the techniques just, through, discussions with Nora. And I think that has helped. I think we've just really, more than anything, tried to be good listeners and be supportive and to, keep that encouraging, mindset that we will get through this. It's new territory for everyone, but we will get to the end of it.
Yeah. And as one of the speakers earlier said, we're evolving normal. We're evolving normal. It won't be what it used to be. We don't know what it's going to be, right?
Yeah.
So we've got to kind of figure that out. So Nora, I would love for people to know what are 3 things that you have seen in you that Pressure Free has made a difference?
Well, definitely like sports wise, like running. I mean, I've seen like my times drop significantly, and like just like I think a lot of it is just the stress part has just been taken away, like using the tools that I like to use just for running. And then also grade wise, I think without Pressure Free, my grades would have been way lower last year. And like I feel like I just like without the stressful factor, everything just is like so much easier for me. And then also just like just like socially, like I get really nervous around other people and stuff. So sometimes just like using my tools just helps me just like calm down. Like you're talking to somebody new that you never met before, but it's not that big of a deal. It's just like use your tools, calm down, you know how to handle this. And so stuff like that, that happens a lot. That pressure
That's really
frees them.
beautiful. So your brain is different, right? It's like you can
Yeah.
learn faster, more effectively.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned with cross country, your time's lowered, which is
Yeah.
incredible. I mean, I've had so many students I've worked with where that is what happens, because it's finally like you're unlocked. And I remember too, like teaching about the starting gun. Some people are like, they're doing great. But the moment that starting gun goes off, you trigger the stress response. It's
Yeah.
human to do that, right?
Hmm.
So all those little things are, if you're in sports, if you're in school, you can see things pretty easily. For my adult clients, like we've had these habits for decades. You've only had them for a few years. So it's like even more untangling. It's like when your hair is all snarly. It's like, oh, we've got to untangle this so we can finally get clear, finally get pressure free. So what would you say are your go-to tools that you use on a regular basis?
I really like turn the dial and flip the switch. Those are like, I mean, I use those just like, I mean, I'm kind of at a point where I don't like even think about it. I'm just like, okay, time to turn the dial, just like turn it. And so I'm just like do that without even thinking about it, which is also really fun. And then like when I like do something like this, where I'm like, oh wait, yeah, I actually do use them like a lot more than I actually
Isn't that funny?
realize. Yeah.
Yeah, you've built the habits.
Yeah.
You've built the habit. And when your brain isn't under the influence of stress hormones, you can create habits easily. But if your brain is affected by the stress hormones, it's extremely hard to change your behaviors. It's really, really hard. So you've gone long enough now, 2 years, and you're just going to start to see it even more. Like I'm 11 years in to using the pressure-free method, and there's some parts of it now for me that is really coming into the fore. Like now, 11 years in, right? So you've just begun on the path, really.
Yeah.
And when we initially met, we did 6 sessions together. And I'm just curious, I didn't intend to ask you this at all, but 6 sessions isn't a whole lot, right? I mean, some people will be in therapy for 30 years. Some people will, be working on something for a long time. In those 6 sessions, did you learn enough to help you?
Yeah, a lot. Like, I mean, some of the stuff I just like, and then like meeting it in the spring, it just like, it like comes back and then you're like, oh, I'm going to try to use this one and like this tool. And like, it just helps you. And like, I mean, I'm even using them without knowing, like, just like talking about the tools and like not even realizing I'm using a tool and I actually am. And it's like, one thing I like to just say to myself a lot is just like stay in your own lane, because that's another one of my favorite ones. And so I'll just like say that to myself. And then like, I don't even realize it's a pressure-free thing. I just like say it because it's just like a tool that's just been like implanted in my brain that I just use so much that I'm even thinking about it.
That is really cool. I'm going to make one little thing. I want to ask Matt a question. You're going to see me go down here from because our next speaker may be trying to come in, but I don't recognize his who he is, and I'm not letting any bombers in here. Okay, so I'm going to get on my phone to message this person just to check in. And the question I have is, what are some of the changes you've seen, Matt, since in these 2 years since Nora worked with me? Some of the things that you've seen.
Yeah, I think at the beginning we were thinking about, is this program going to be helpful, and is it something we should invest in? It was a pretty easy decision for me as a parent to say, yeah, of course I want to provide a resource to help my daughter. And so I did that, and Nora jumped in, but I'm also a financial guy. That's my background, and so I'm looking for a return on the investment. And so I think I was looking for an answer to the question you just asked. Nora, did you get anything out of it? It was just 6 sessions,
Right.
and I think one thing that made me feel really good about it was that she really was using a lot of the techniques and not really even realizing it or thinking about it. And I saw it just with the, I think, interactions between her sister. There's a lot of opportunity for fight or flight with 2 teen girls just in a small bathroom. And so I saw it in action there a lot. And I don't know if Nora was aware of it, but I certainly recognized it. And, and I think just, leading into the challenges associated with the pandemic last year, it was a real, I think, tough time for Nora. It was a tough time for all of her friends, tough time for everyone, but for her to have a base of some things that she could go back to and review, and I think that helped to kind of keep perspective and keep I think keep a positive mindset in a really difficult stage. And so definitely noticed that as well.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Yeah, it's funny, that return on investment. I use this phrase. I don't know. I'm going to ask Nora if she feels it's true. Like, when you think of return on investment, like, you want something that pays dividends for the rest of your life, right? Like, you learn something and it keeps paying you back. I feel like pressure free for me is the thing that just keeps on giving, like, for the rest of my life. I never want to go back to the old me. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not interested in that.
Yeah.
I don't want to go back to the old me. And so it really is a big change in mindset that allows you. I just have to bring this forward because most teenagers your age have a ton of acne. You've got very beautiful skin over there.
Thank you.
That actually is something I've had students work with me who suffer from a lot of acne. And that's not why they came to me, of course. They're coming to me for sports or for education, get their grades up or whatever the thing is. And I'll never forget when we got done our 6 sessions together, and the mother goes, I just can't believe his skin. Like, she went on and on about his skin. And of course, that's something we can see. The health of our skin deteriorates when we release these stress hormones. The nutrients can't actually get out to our skin cells of the food we eat. They cannot get out to any cells properly. So when you use pressure free, every cell of your body is getting healthier, including your skin cells. So that's kind of cool. I mean, you just look beautiful. So I had to call that out.
Thank you.
And I just remember this boy and his mom saying that, like, it's really what we can see, versus what's happening internally that we can't see. And of course, with running, we've got the times. We can see what the times are. And the resilience. Like, I remember coming to one of your races when you were in middle school, and you didn't do so well that time. But because of pressure free, I felt like you were so okay because you knew you had the next race. You remember that? You were just so on point to go like, next time, without any of that, difficulty. That was just really, really beautiful, Nora. So I'm going to remove some people. This is so crazy. We can actually record them. I think we'll keep them away. So yeah, that resilience when things don't go the way you want is just as important as when they do, and how you prepare yourself ahead of time. So that was just something that I noted with you that I thought was, and it happened really quickly in our time together. It's not like it was months later that you were feeling that, right? It was pretty quick.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And you brought up 2 tools. So earlier I had asked a teacher who I've worked with, and her 2 tools she immediately brought up were smiling and breathing. A lot of people know about smiling and breathing, but a lot of people don't know about the dial. So as I'm waiting here to see if our next speaker comes in, I want to dive into this for a moment. So why do you think the dial works well for you?
I mean, I kind of like found a way to like make it work for me in a way. So that's also been really helpful. Like some of the tools, like I feel like they didn't like, I wasn't able to like use in my own way and it didn't work for me. But then like some other tools, I just like was like, I grabbed them right away and I was like, you know what, this will work for me. And that's one thing with spin the dial. And like, I kind of like, I just like, I don't even like need to actually like put my hand on my heart and like spin it anymore. I just kind of like say, okay, I call it my cool zone. So I like, when I mentally spin the dial, I say like, okay, got to go back to your cool zone now. And
that's so good. The cool zone. That is really so good. So the dial it's as if I'm teaching it in a cool way now to brand new Nora. So you're gonna get some new coaching here, but we got these buttons. Everybody knows how to push our buttons. Like in your family, as your dad was saying, with your sister, you guys know how to push each other's buttons.
Yeah.
Some siblings and parents, by the way, families, we get a little rise out of even getting people to go under the line and stress out. Like it's cool because we have control, right? So we've got these buttons people can push, but I want you to turn it into a dial because this is your button and you own it. And you don't need to let people push your buttons anymore.
Yeah.
You get to, at a very deep level, say, you know what, I deserve to have a great life. And if I trigger stress hormones here, I'm out for 24 hours for you as a girl. For your dad, it's up to 9, right? So no, it's like you're turning this dial to a zone, you're just the cool zone, minus the genius zone, where you feel amazing. It's that in the zone thing. So you're getting out of the crappy zone and you're saying, no, I deserve to live a really beautiful life and I'm choosing this. This is what I'm choosing. So does that make sense, Matt? Like, okay. So don't let people push your buttons immediate or anything, any situation push your button. It's like, no, I deserve to have a great day today. So that's what the dial does for you. It really gives you that permission to give yourself a great life, give yourself a great day, a great test, or whatever it is you're doing next. And then flip the switch. So flip the switch is a physical motion on purpose at first, right? And Nora's got a younger brain. For us older people, one of the only ways to create new neural pathways is to do a big motion. So I pretend you have a light switch on your head and it's turning down when you go into fight or flight. The lights are going out. That's why you can't make good decisions and you have no willpower and you can't remember names in a social situation, right? It's going down. So we flip the switch and you can take it deeper and ask a question, right, Nora?
Yeah.
So when you flip the switch, do you ask a question?
Sometimes, I mean, a lot of the time I'm just like, was this seriously like what you actually wanted to say or do? Or like when I feel myself going into fight or flight and I'm thinking about like, I mean, when I'm really in fight or flight, I'm not even thinking, but it's like, I kind of just ask myself like once questions like, is this really what I'm actually feeling? Or like, is this really what's happening? And then I kind of just say like, no, flip the switch, let's go. Kind of just how I use it.
That's beautiful. Yeah. So You can ask that empowering question idea where you're saying, okay, how can I solve this? How can I run fast here? How can I get an A on my test? Whatever it is you want to ask. And at the same time, it can just be like, no, I'm keeping the lights on. I'm not going under the line here. So most of the things that we're triggering over in the course of when we have a bigger perspective in the course of our life, they're just small, but they're taking us out of having a great life. And most of us are in the stress response, stress cycle always. And that's what you've learned to break so that you're not, and your skin reflects it. Your ability to do well in school reflects it. Most students, it's not the fact that they don't study or don't learn. They're sitting in the classroom. Can't they hear? Teachers instructing, right? You can't hear if you're in fight or flight. I love to tell students, especially, but adults too, it's not your fault. You didn't learn this. So you go to school, and before you even went to school, somebody said, hey, hurry up, we're going to be late. And you trigger the stress response. That's all it takes. That's all it takes. And now you go to take your math test and you can't remember. You're not stupid. We're not stupid. And for Matt and I met at a social function, right? Mm-hmm. And how many people did we meet that night where we forgot their name 5 seconds later?
Right.
We're not stupid people. We have great brains. But when we trigger fight or flight, we cannot lodge memory correctly. And that's huge for students, for people trying to teach other people things, like just to understand that. So flip the switch, fabulous tool. Dial, fabulous tool. And flip the switch and dial are two of what I would call, when I teach you those, Nora, it takes a whole lot more time to teach you those than the smile, right? And here's what I love. A lot of my youngest clients use my most complex tools. A lot of my adult clients use some of my fast, quick, easy tools. It's fascinating to me. It's also fascinating to me how you take the tool, and what did you just say to me? You said, I've kind of made it the way that I use it.
Yeah.
Get creative. I love it. I love the creation that my younger clients come up with, because then I can teach it to my older clients. It's like your ability to take in information and move around. And that's what our last speaker just talked about. That's what Jose talked about, is that your generation, you're learning totally differently than your dad and I did. Like how you think, and video games are a reason for that too. But your actual flexibility in how you can learn in different ways is far more than ours. I should say this, far more until you have a pressure-free brain. Because I can't wait to do actual research on what does the pressure-free brain allow us to do. It's like far more than we ever dreamed. That's what I feel. I feel like my brain can do things now that I couldn't even begin to do before. Like host a conference for an entire day. Without any help. I don't have any tech help. I'm having to get the Zoom bombs off, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have probably even attempted something like that with my old brain. I would have been too nervous and worried about what people thought. What if I make a mistake? What if the tech goes down? All the what ifs. So pressure-free brain and body is an incredible thing. So do you have some goals for this season?
I really want to make it to the state meet as a team again, because that was super fun. And then this year, I really want to focus on just getting together with teammates again and getting to know everybody really well, because that was something last year we didn't do. Like tonight for practice, we're playing capture the flag and doing team games and stuff for Fun Friday. We're actually running before, but it'll just be fun to do that, because last year it was kind of okay, we're done running, you do on your own stretches and now you gotta go. So now we can actually do stuff as a team, which is a ton of fun. And I hope we like can do that. One of my teammates mentioned after Saturday morning practices, she has a pool in her backyard. So she's like, we can all just go and hang out at her pool for a little bit after practices. And like we have next week, Friday is our first meet, and it's called the Under the Lights meet. So it's like really late. So some people are talking about like going out for dinner. I mean, and it's just like we're all talking about like bringing snacks. So we have to be there till like 3 a.m. or something like that for awards. Like it's some crazy, like we don't even start running till like 11:30. So it's like really crazy. So, and we get to run fun meets like that now. So that's like another thing. And it's like,
fun.
yeah, it's like my first normal year of like high school cross country. And it's like last year kind of just didn't feel like as fun. So this year there's like more of a fun aspect to it, which is a lot of fun. And I'm getting to know teammates better, which is amazing. So that's like my bigger goals, just like to get to know my team better and like just have a lot more fun as a team. But I don't really have like that many time goals. I just want to get under what I did last year just to show my progress. And so I don't have like two specific time goals, but I really just want to, it's mostly like team focused this year, just to do good as a team and like get to know everybody better and yeah, just like have more fun with it also. So yeah.
Wow. I just have to ask, go back 2 years. Would she have been talking like that 2 years ago, Matt? Like,
No, definitely not.
so you're talking like the adults we've had on here about the importance of curiosity and collaboration and community. That's what you just shared as your goals. Like it's really, really cool. It's beautiful to hear that. So that's that makes for a recipe for a really beautiful life, Nora. It's really, really cool. I'm really happy for you.
Thank you.
I've gone over because I don't think Matt came in. He's actually traveling, bringing his child to college. And so, so I'm not sure if he just couldn't make it in or he was someone I ignored. hopefully I didn't report him.
Reject.
This is so interesting. Wow. But yeah, he hasn't come back to me here. So we're just not going to worry about it. I think what I'll do until our next speaker comes on. So our next speaker is going to be Sheree, and she's a parent too. So yeah, so I worked with her first as the client, and then she brought well, when last December hit, her 14-year-old he did not like virtual school. Like it was not a good deal. So she brought me in to work with him. So yeah, that was really fun. And he took one of my tools and he took the double yellow line tool and did a really cool thing. So so that was really fun. I think I'll just do a little coaching here for the next 15 minutes, and you guys can feel free to stay on, but you don't have to. And I'm just really, really glad you came and shared. Do you have a question, Matt?
I do. So I know you do individual coaching and you work with a lot of younger clients, and you wrote a book on parenting for pressure-free parenting, which is great. I read that. Just curious if you have a sort of a family type program at all in any of your offerings.
Yeah. When I work with parents, when I work with families, what I tend to do is a session with everybody and then privately with each person, because every person in the family brings a totally different energy and different things stress them. And sometimes what I find, there's been occasions where I've coached the whole family all the way through. I find it less effective than working with each person. And that's because each person is just so unique, so incredibly complex, I guess is the best way to put it, so that we can really dig in. And the majority of my clients are adults, and they range to age 80.
Yeah.
And I also do trainings for schools, for corporations. I'm about to do a training for Microsoft. So I work with big companies, small companies, like, oh, there isn't anyone, and Nora, would you back me up? There isn't anyone that can't benefit from pressure free.
Yeah.
There isn't anybody. And what I guess I love about doing private coaching is that I really get to listen to you. When I'm working with Nora, I get to hear her and think about the hundreds of books and research papers and everything that I have in my arsenal to think, okay, what's the best thing and what's the best way for me to teach this thing to her? So that's the other thing. Like, we've got you, your wife, and your other daughter, Nora. Each one of you has a different learning style. So if I'm working with the person in the room that likes a lot of the why in the science, but somebody else in the room is like, oh, just give me the how-to, I want to get out of here. That person's going to be bored. And if I'm doing the how-to, the person over here who's a real why learner, like I need the why, they're going to be like, well, this is just not very deep. But when I'm coaching a group, I have to sprinkle a little why, a little what, and a little how-to. Or else somebody in that group is not going to be very happy.
Yeah, I think what made me think of that is, we have a lot of different scenarios, and one of those is, coming soon as school starting next week, the just mornings and getting ready for school and ready for work and getting everybody out the door. It's not always pressure free, at least around our house. But I think having everyone, be aware of some of the techniques or the cues, I think would be really helpful. There's definitely been times where, I know, I've kind of said, hey, let's bring it down, let's flip the switch, and I think Nora gets it. I'm not sure everybody gets it, but, to kind of have that same common language and
Oh, the common language is huge. So in our family, 2010, when I created this method, I was teaching it to my kids' baseball team. 2 of my boys were getting it that way. My husband was editing all the writing I was doing, so he was kind of getting it that way. And then my youngest son and I just kind of through osmosis, I was just like really working with him because he needed it really badly. So it's like all of a sudden you could see this whole thing starting to up level. And here's the real basic truth. When you really love someone, you really don't ever want to see them trigger fight or flight, because the end result of that is really nasty chronic disease, mental and physical. So anyone who has a high anxiety child, take responsibility now. Just take responsibility. It's really in your power to change that. And it starts with you. It's just like, on the plane, you got to put your oxygen mask on first, because our children respond to our emotional behavior. Hi, Shireen.
Hi.
So our children respond to our emotional responses, and it starts with us. So like that early morning is the perfect time to work on what's really going on. As a parent, one of the best things you can do is just zip your lips. Just go and get in the car.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm all ready. I'll see you all in the car. You may be out there for a little while,
Yeah.
but just be patient. And some of the people that were coaching earlier today on here with me shared that I think it was Ann Crossman, really great segment. For one of your child, it might just be writing a sticky note to tell them, make sure you're ready by this time. Like they need to see the little written instruction. I'm going to take that deeper and say that they may have to take the pen and write, I'm going to get up at 6 a.m. and put that on their bathroom mirror or by their bed or whatever. They write it. Okay. So they kinesthetically connect into what they want. Maybe it's oral. Maybe they're going to record something in their phone. Or maybe you have to take them, physically walk them, and let's do this together to show them what they need to do to get out the door. Like it's the more verbal instruction you give them, the less they can even take in. So it's actually showing them. You've got to understand what your child's learning, how they best like to learn. And if you start working with that, things will start to go smoother. But everybody just starts yelling. I know, I was there, right? It's like, I'm the one who's 20 minutes early in the house. There's two of us who are always 20 minutes early. There's two who are on time, and there's one who's 20 minutes late. Okay, so I have to do all the, like, what's the preparation the night before? What's the preparation in the morning? Bottom line is, when you really love each other, you don't want to see anybody trigger, because you want everybody to have a great day. You want everyone to go to school and be able to work really well together and learn and actually not waste time.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. And I just have to ask you, Nora, do you find that you have more time in your day since you became pressure free?
Yeah, a little bit. Like, I feel like I've stopped stressing about like time. Like, I don't think like, so I think that's just part of it. Like, I'm not super focused. Like, I feel like before I'd be like, okay, I have like an hour, and then like I have to do this, and then this time. And now I'm just kind of like, okay, I just have to do this and this now. Then I'll do this and this after like practice or something like that. So yeah, I'm not like as focused on like, okay, it's this time, like I'm not as focused as looking at time, yes.
And I know, like, you and I have a lot of similarities, Nora. We weren't just focused on the time, but we were anxious about the time.
Yeah.
You know, that's, a lot of people are very anxious about time and getting it right. And you're a firstborn. I'm a first, like, getting it right and perfect. It's like there's a whole thing. So each one of your children is going to be different. And then you got the two parents who have very different emotional makeups and grew up in different families. You're bringing that into it too. So that's why I say it's like a really complex deal. But you're absolutely right, Matt, about when everybody in the family, when I've coached entire families, they all have the same language. And they don't just look at their kid and say, just breathe, with a face like that. Just breathe. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. You know, they understand that.
I think Nora and her sister love it when I, in the middle of the chaos, I say, okay, everybody have a great day. You know, I think they really enjoy that. The looks I get, the looks, yeah, and then it's like, okay, I'll be outside.
And, you know, work as a team. Nora might have some good ideas. Your other daughter might have some good ideas. You know, you all have, if this is the end goal, that we all get out the door in a really beautiful way every morning, like, what's the end goal? How can we get there? How can I help you? Or maybe you don't need any help at all. Maybe I need to get out of the way because you got this great plan. Kids are very, very smart from the time they're 2, 3, you know. I mean, Cherie, are your twins pretty smart? I mean, she's got twins, little ones, and 2 older kids. Okay, so
Al, we've seen that.
Go ahead.
Sorry. So Nora has been babysitting for a family this summer. That it's a family that lives in our neighborhood, so she's just been walking up there, and she's had some early mornings, like starting at 7 a.m., 6:45 a.m. And she's just doing it on her own. She doesn't have me or my wife waking her up or reminding her. She's just setting her alarm and making it happen. And I had that realization that, well, I guess we can do that for school as well. So it doesn't have to be the like, Nora, you got to get up in 5 minutes. I think we're definitely, causing some of the stress by, kind of being involved, whereas just kind of say, okay, you know what time you need to be up to the bus stop. So let us know if you need any help. I think that'll be the go forward approach, because we've seen it. It's worked. She's done it.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
And of course, you're going to earn some money, right? Which is kind of a motivator, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of kids, like, they don't really want to go to school today. So the motivator is a reason too why we do things. So when you can link, like, whatever is a child values, what it is they need to go do, when you can link the value to the importance of them doing this thing, that can get the momentum going, the movement going. And now you've created a pattern, Nora, right? Like, you're just doing it all on your own. And honestly, I looked at, because our family changed so much in 2010. So my eldest was 18, about to leave for college. My younger two are so much more independent, incredibly independent, because I just went hands off in a lot of things where I was meddling before. And I stopped saying anything about it's time to go. They know what time it is. When did they learn how to read a clock? Right? They know what time it is. They know what time school is better than we do. Like, do you really know what time school starts? They know these things. They're brilliant people. They're brilliant humans. And you can say, oh, but their cortex isn't fully developed. Here's the deal. I love to say this. And maybe, Nora, you can back me up, but the only reason children do some really stupid things is because they're under the influence of stress hormones.
Yeah.
When you're not under the influence of stress hormones, you can make really great decisions, even if your friend is telling you to smoke this thing, right? Because you're fully functioning. So it's not about the teenage brain. Like, you'll read a lot of research and a lot of things. They've never studied the pressure-free teenage brain because they don't exist except for people like Nora. But you study the pressure-free teenage brain and they can make decisions fluidly and beautifully. They can get up on time without any problems. You have a lot of willpower too, don't you?
Yeah.
Willpower. You probably remember things really well now that maybe it was hard before.
Yeah, there's been a couple of times where, like, I've been having a conversation and then, like, it'll be like with my mom and sister, and they'll be like 2 days or 3 days later, and I'll be like, do you guys want to do like what we talked about the other day? And they'll be like, what? And I'm like,
they don't remember.
We talked about this, and they're like, we never, like, what are you talking about? And I'll be like, we talked about this like 2 days ago. And that's always like kind of funny.
It is funny. Oh my gosh. And my youngest son, he became so pressure free at age 10, which is young, right? And he would say things like, remember 2 weeks ago when we were talking about da da da? And my husband and I were looking at each other.
No.
You've created a monster, right? Like, he remembers everything. And here's what he will admit. I don't know if I put this in the parenting book or not. But things prior, he has very few memories from prior to age 10. Very few. After age 10, it's almost encyclopedic. So again, when you see studies or research reports or articles in the newspaper or magazines about memory, they're not testing a pressure-free brain. Pressure-free brain is a very different thing because it doesn't have stress sludge. You haven't shut down this part of your brain. That's so funny you bring that forward though, Nora. That's hilarious. It is incredible. And an older brain can learn this. So I have an executive right now. She just got promoted to vice president of one of the vice presidents of a huge Fortune 500 company, right? But she just got promoted. She's changed so much that it was easy to land the promotion. And she just spent time with some of her friends who've known her 21 years. They can't even believe what they're seeing. It's incredible what can happen to you. Cherie's nodding her head, like, it's incredible what can happen to you when you stop releasing these stress hormones for the smallest of things, for the little things. And as a parent, you know, one of the things that is just so crushing is when you see your child suffering. When you see your child underperforming or going through a hard social situation, the mean girls thing, or the boy who doesn't make the team, or, you know, all the things that happen. And that can cause now you're not only dealing with your own stressors, but now you're suffering from secondhand stress. And so it's like a constant, and that can erode the parental relationship too. It's because you both probably have different ideas about how to handle it. And that's not helpful either. So it's like the coming together and be able to figure out and get to solutions. That is the really cool thing. So, well, thanks for doing a whole hour with me, you two. This was it was really delightful. I'm going to bring Cherie in here, and you know, you're free to stay, free to go. We'll keep recording. Cherie, we got Zoom bombed. We got Zoom bombed, and all of these people came in here. A guy like crunching potato chips and like swearing and like.
It was pretty fun. So. Well, thank you so much, Al. We appreciate the opportunity to join.
It was great. I'm so glad. And I'm really glad that you were open and honest and willing to share here. And it will help other families. It really will, to just know what's possible, because a lot of families just don't know what could be possible for them, you know? And the stressed out normal, that's not normal. It's not normal. There's a better way. Well, thanks, you guys. I'm going to bring Cherie out here.
Bye-bye. See ya.
Thank you.
Bye. Hi, Cherie.
Hello.
So great to have you here. Yes, so we got Zoom bombed. I had to shut the whole thing down and then come back in. I don't know who iPad 8 is. I'm not sure who that is. So, in fact, I'm going to just send a little message here. Bear with me just a moment. Because if it's Katie, I don't see. I think it's one of the Zoom bombers. Because Katie, let's see here. Zoom name. Okay, we'll see what happens. So the person after you doesn't get shut out, but well, so nice to have you here. So it's just going to be you and me, which is delightful. But this, I am recording this, so we'll do this like as a little segment. So I'm going to just kind of start it kind of fresh here for us. Okay.
Okay.
All right, so hi everybody, Elle Ingalls here with Pressure Free Living. I created the Pressure Free Method, which is an on-the-go stress management method that you can use all day long to prevent the release of the fight or flight stress response. So that is my expertise, the stress response. And I've coached hundreds of people privately and thousands of people in group to help them really step into their true potential, really unlock a less stressed out life, which has just so many implications, especially today with what's been going on. So I'm so glad you're tuning into this recording of the Back to School 2021 Pressure Free Conference. And I brought this next guest on, who is someone who worked with me first as a client and then had me work with one of her parents. So welcome, Cherie.
Thank you.
I would love for you to just share a little bit about who you are, your family life, how many people live in that house, and then we'll kind of go back and forth and I'll ask you some questions. Does that sound good?
Sounds great.
Okay, great.
Right.
So tell us about yourself, Cherie.
Okay, so my name is Cherie Parent. I met Elle on one of these webinars that she had done, a little over a year ago. and it really resonated with me. So I have a husband and 4 kids. My oldest is 15, my middle child is 10, and then I have 2 twins who just turned 3, and they are a handful. And we're potty training and doing all sorts of fun stuff right now. So it's been a challenge, but it's fun. We have a lot of fun with them.
They are. They came on screen many times, which was delightful.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if they decided to make a visit.
That's absolutely fine if they did. You know, dogs, cats, children, they're all welcome here at Pressure Free.
Yes. Yes.
So when we got started together, what would you say was the first, some of the reasons why, like 2 or 3 reasons why you felt like Pressure Free would be helpful to you as a parent and as a woman?
Yeah. So COVID, like, I don't know, when COVID hit and everyone was home, and it kind of messed with me and my mental health. And I just felt like out of control. Like, I just felt like I couldn't handle situations. I couldn't handle the homeschooling for my older kids and then dealing with the twins. And I just was a mess. It was a complete mess. And I just didn't feel like I could handle life. It was really stressful and really hard. And so when I met you over the webinar, and just what you had said just completely resonated with me. And it's given me a lot of coping skills and a lot of tools to help me maintain and to stay calm. And granted, I still get triggered and I still have my outbursts and things, you know, what happens. But it definitely makes a huge difference to have these tools that will help me to be able to be focused and be calm to better handle the situation. So
That's so beautiful. And you're not alone. Like, even before 2020, it's just been such a we're in a really difficult phase in our society. I mean, stress is just kind of the new normal. And then you throw what happened in, and to me, it's like a huge shake-up, wake-up call.
Oh yeah.
Because if people weren't paying attention before, they are now. And so when we got started together, what would you say are some of the first benefits that you started to see happen for you?
I feel like things just ran smoother, like just how I handled it and how they started seeing how I was handling it differently. It was just, everything was a little easier. It just, I don't know, it just made sense. It made everything clearer and just better overall.
Beautiful, beautiful. So now with that clarity, how could you show up for your family?
Well, they have a happier mom. So it's like,
oh my God.
So when mom's happy, it seems like everybody else is happy, you know, or happier, and not as like, when my kids give me attitude and I'm just kind of like, okay, well, when you're ready to talk to me, then, you know, and it just kind of made them go, oh, like what? And
so they couldn't push your buttons anymore.
Yeah. They still push my buttons, but not, I just try not to let it get to me as much, and just kind of like what Matt said, like, hey, see you later, have a good day. And you kind of walk away and you're like, okay.
Yeah. It's kind of funny, you know, we're not all nice and we're not all mean. Sometimes we're nice, sometimes we're mean. I think pretty much every person on the planet has a little bit of a mean streak where they get a rise out of seeing somebody who is stressed out or who does react when they push the button. Okay, it's just something built into us. It might be some sort of survival mechanism. I'm not sure. You know, we got to take out the weak. I'm not sure what it is, but it is definitely something I've seen, experienced myself. I've seen it, I've been it, I've done it. And so you're bringing something really important to the fact, and I don't want to just kind of go over it, but you're a happier mother.
Yeah.
That is amazing and so important. Like, it really is so important, because you, most of the time, not all the time, but oftentimes it's the mother. Oh, here's one.
Here's one of them.
Hi. How are you today?
She said she's Khalees.
Oh, she's Khalees. She's saying her name.
Khalees. Yeah,
fun.
she's saying her name.
Hi.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's beautiful.
There we go. That's good.
So, so oftentimes it's the mother, but not necessarily. It could be either of the parents. Really set the emotional tone. They really set the emotional tone for what's happening when it comes to the home and the emotional life of the home. So when you are happy, it's like spokes of the wheel, right? With every relationship out, it's huge. I mean, it is really huge. So, so that to me is just beautiful. So we've got happier. Give me a couple other benefits that you've noticed.
Let's see. I just don't feel as triggered. So maybe that goes into the happy tone. But I just feel like I am a better person. I can handle things better. So, which does make me happier, but it just overall, I just feel like more complete, if that makes sense. You know?
That's so beautiful. I mean, how many of us say, gosh, I wish I had it all together, or I wish I, and so that's a beautiful word, complete.
Mm-hmm.
And it really makes sense, because in fight or flight, we're so in that reptile brain and that survival brain, we can't even feel our whole self.
Yeah.
We don't even feel our whole self. So that's incredibly beautiful.
Yeah, I know. When I'm triggered, I feel like I'm in a box, and I'm like, you know, there's no getting out, and then you just don't see the whole picture. So you just don't see. I don't know. It's a mess. I hate being triggered. I hate it when I get triggered. So I know the feeling of when you just prevent the triggering from happening. It's just you're so much better off for it.
Yes,
so much better
absolutely.
off for it.
You gave yourself quality life.
Yes.
And that quality life makes you, well, here's what I heard when you said that: you're more effective.
Yes.
You probably waste a lot less time now.
Yes, for sure.
Mm-hmm. So you're more effective, you feel more complete, which is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And this idea too of you're probably able to handle more.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's really beautiful. What are some of your favorite pressure-free tools that you use?
So one of my favorite one is when I walk into the room and I say, how can I, be in a better situation for, how, like basically, so when I walk in stage, I'm going to be able to handle whatever is coming at me. When I walk in the room and I see my daughter peed on the floor, it's like, I can then go like, okay, she peed on the floor, and how can I better handle that situation? Some of the other tools are just taking a deep breath and just breathing, so I don't go into a fight or flight, like counting to 10 or something. I know there's a couple others that I can't think of right now, but those have been just, how can I do this? And also just one thing that stood out to me is when I wake up in the morning, I kind of just wake up to the screaming of kids or something. So you had told me to say, what is something I can see, visually see, that will help me to see, okay, I see something beautiful to kind of start my day off on a better tone. So I have this little pot of flowers in my room. So I start off by looking at that and seeing something beautiful, which then just helps uplift me a little. So that's been a good one for me.
I've asked throughout the conference, I have people who've worked with me, and I've asked them, and each person has mentioned different things.
Yeah.
So the crossing the threshold is, and I didn't even realize there was a term for this idea, the crossing the threshold and asking, how can I contribute? How can I make this beautiful or whatever?
Yes.
The crossing threshold, that's like a habit stack where you have a habit of going through a doorway. What can you add on top of that to improve your life? And so that's a beautiful, beautiful tool that ties into what I call the spirit of contribution. How are you contributing?
Right.
You know, instead of being competitive and walking in and getting upset and and why didn't he take care of this and right, all this stuff, you walk across the rock into the room and say, okay, how can I contribute? It's a
Yes,
beautiful tool.
yes.
And then what was the last one you just said? What was the?
So it was to see something beautiful, like
Yes.
to help me just to be able to like, because sometimes I'll wake up to my kids screaming in the next room to, you know, my twins, and I wake up and just be like, oh. So when I look at that and I see something beautiful, it just sets the tone for a better situation. So
you were one of the first people that I developed that tool for.
oh yeah.
Yeah. And it must have been something you shared with me that I got really inspired to say, okay, that again, it's the twilight. I called it the Twilight Zones, right? But
Yeah.
when you're coming out of sleep and going into sleep, that's one of the few places where you have the power to really change habit and lodge something in your subconscious. So it's a very beautiful time for you to make change. And
right.
So, yeah, what is it that you see, hear, think first thing in the morning?
Right.
And same thing just before you go to bed. That will have a huge influence on your health and your life. So, especially when you wake up and you got kids running around and all that stuff going, you know, it's just insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's insane. So, I remember our kids didn't really like cribs. So they were early into getting into their beds, which means if they get up before me, they're already downstairs, right? I remember coming downstairs once, my son, he was probably, he was 2.5, 3 or so. He's still in a diaper though, because I remember the diaper. He's already outside shooting baskets on his little hoop in the driveway, right? Which is all fenced in, of course, right? But it's like up early shooting hoops.
Oh wow.
So yeah, it's interesting what those early morning hours like. And Matt and Nora were just talking about the early morning hours and how do you get everybody out the door? How to hustle, bustle, and so see if you can turn into a really precious time. You know, I was thinking back to how, especially the new city I live in, everybody speeds. Like people drive like really crazy. And I thought back and I asked myself, I don't ever remember my mother being in a hurry when she drove. I don't ever remember. I grew up in the 60s and early 70s, like at home. My parents didn't speed to get places. There were no clocks in the car. You got in the car and you got there.
And that's actually another tool that I've been using is the time. I'm going to get there when I get there. And I've actually said that many times when I was running late, just being like, I'm going to get there when I'm going to get there. And that actually has really helped me to not feel like pressured and crazy, you know, when I'm trying to get somewhere on time. So that's another one.
So we were together, and then when virtual school hit, that was a whole new thing you had to deal with, and you had me come and work with your son.
Yes.
So and of course, again, I didn't work with him for a long period of time, but he made some pretty amazing progress as we worked together.
Yeah.
And what did you see as a parent shift and change for him, Sheree?
Wow, he actually did schoolwork. He's like, he changed completely. It was great because he was in a position where he was like skipping school, and then he wasn't getting any of his work in, and he had like 60 missing assignments, and so he just kind of said it's not going to happen. So he kind of just gave up, and it was so frustrating for me to see my son struggle and just give up and not care. And I'm like, no, this is not okay. I don't want you thinking it's okay. You just need help. And so that's when I brought you in, and I saw changes in him where he actually started participating. He would actually do his homework. And granted, he was so far behind, he didn't get it all in because he didn't have enough time at this point. But he made progress, and that's all I cared about. He had it in his head that I expected perfection at that point, because I was like, you have so many missing assignments. I'm like, I don't care about that per se. I just want you to do your work. I want you to try. I don't expect perfection, but I do want you to try. And so I think he kind of just gave up at that point. But you helped him see that he has to map out things to be able to use his time wisely and to be able to work towards his goals. And yeah, so I did see a huge improvement with him.
Wow.
Great.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now he's driving. Is he like taking, is he
He's in class for
in class, right?
Yeah, he's taken the class. So he turned 16 in February. So he's getting there.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And working with him, he took one of my tools, and it was on the last session that I was coaching him that, first of all, he had a huge smile on his face, and I was like, well, he passed all his classes, right? So
he did. He went from failing every single one of his class when you started coaching him to passing all of his classes.
And we did that in about 8 weeks.
Uh-huh.
It was about 8 weeks, because I think we took 1 week off in between there at one point. So it's like 7 or 8 weeks he did that.
Right.
That's amazing.
Yes. Yeah.
He's not the only student I've worked with during this period of time who was, by the way, just failing miserably. And these were straight A students. Some of them I worked with, like great grades, failing miserably. And we turned it around in a matter of weeks.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have had students who couldn't even get out of bed. They were so demoralized by what was happening to them. You know what I mean? Like just so anxious and so like my life is over because I've screwed up so badly. And that's when you as the parent is like, it feels so hopeless. It doesn't have to be that way. It really doesn't have to be that way. And so you can, and one of the things that I work so hard in my coaching to do, people say, wow, it's just a matter of weeks. From day one, I'm working to help empower you. I'm listening to you and sharing all these different tools to empower you. And you're probably going to pick a random group of them out of all 40 that I teach you. And those are your go-tos. Like those are the ones. And the way he took, so I won the double yellow line. And with the double yellow line, yep.
We still have that. We still have that up by his computer here. It's still sitting there. Yeah.
So good. And he created a super cool way to use it. I mean, that's what I love. I share a tool, and then the creativity that comes into it to make it work for them in just a really powerful, incredible way. And I'm going to share with our audience. So I made him draw it for me, right? Like he drew a circle and then put a double yellow line down the middle. Double yellow line means you can't pass. You got to stay in your lane. He listed his homework and his chores that he has to do. And then on the other side are the things he wants to do, like play with this person, go to the rec center, video games, like things he wants to do.
Yep.
And so he said to me, I come home from school and I got to go over here first, and then I can go over here and do these things. And I just will never forget this, Sheree, when I asked him, so how much time are you spending on either half, right? And he goes, oh, it's about 60-40. So I immediately wrongly assumed 60% on the homework and chores. He goes, oh, no. It's like 40% there and then about 60% over here. And then he said, and before pressure free, it was like 95% over here.
It was. Yeah.
That's every kid's dream, to have more free time. Mm-hmm. My son would actually do his homework in the car and at school so that he could have his free time. Free time is something so kids need it, number one, and then they feel like they don't get it enough today. And I know that as a mom. And so when I can help a child become more effective here, actually sit in class and hear the teacher so they don't have to reread or rewatch or whatever they have to do, like actually get it,
Mm-hmm.
how much time opens up for them?
So much more.
So much more. So that is, I love that. That is really, really cool, Sheree. It's just beautiful to have such a change start to happen in such a short amount of time for somebody.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how do you see like the ripple effect for you? And so now you have two people in the home, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's the ripple effect that you see? You know, maybe not even going beyond the home too, but how is pressure free changing in other ways too?
So with me and Michael knowing pressure free, it's like I said before, it's smoother. We don't fight as much, and we have that set expectation where it's like, you got to get your stuff done, just do it, and then you can have more free time. I feel like it's rippling into the other kids because they can see us not yelling at each other as much and not fighting, and it's just kind of just sets the tone for a better environment throughout the house.
Totally.
And they sense it, and yeah.
Wow. When you do that with your oldest too, we don't always know what's the feeling of the younger ones when they're experiencing all that fighting. And actually it doesn't really matter which one it's happening with. I'm kind of environmentally sensitive, so shouting and sounds really get to me.
Right.
I have to use a lot of pressure-free tools if someone starts yelling, like the Zoom bombers earlier today. Thank goodness for pressure-free.
Yeah.
And so the ability to really to start changing yourself, and then the ripple effect, it's huge, because now your younger kids can really trust in how you're going to respond to things, because they're seeing how you're responding to things with the oldest. And now that gives them this like self-assurance that, oh, okay, no matter what happens, everything's going to be okay. Because mom's not going to overreact, right? Because that's what we do. We overreact. We can't help it because we care about our kids. We want it to be great. So it's like really powerful, that ripple effect. And it goes beyond the walls of your home. Like it's in the when you're in the it's wherever you go now. People know, like, and trust you. They feel your energy. They feel like it's safe to be with you. Because a person under the influence of those stress hormones can't really be trusted totally,
Right.
It's really, really cool. Wow. What are some parting thoughts that you might have, or suggestions for people?
Oh, life is just so much better when you're not stressed.
Oh my gosh.
So much better. Like, I mean, I look back and I just think our yelling sessions and how we all interacted as a family and how hard it was and how unnecessary all those feelings were. And now when you're pressure free and you think, okay, if I can go in calm, and everything is just so much better. And it's bonding for the whole family to be able to have that, because the yelling just, it gets you nowhere. And it's so hard. It's so hard. No, we're not perfect over here, so there's still yelling that happens. But when I can go into a room clear and calm headed and something happens, it's just so much easier, and everybody feels better. Just everybody feels better when we're all not letting those stress hormones kick us in the butt.
Oh my gosh.
It's so much better. It's just so much better. Everything is better.
And I really love how you brought forward that we're not perfect. I've been working on myself and using my method I created for 11 years, but there's something that will throw me under the bus.
I still
And
get triggered by things where it's like,
oh,
but then I
absolutely.
know that triggering and what triggers me, and I can go and mentally prepare myself if I know it's going to happen. Like,
Right.
if I know something could trigger me and I'm walking into that situation where I know my kid is going to trigger me, I can walk in and say, be prepared to be like, just, breathe, and that helps. That
Yes.
helps. But
Oh my gosh, yes. And also, I mean, it really is kind of like a science experiment now, probably for you. Like you see yourself trigger and you see what is happening over the next few hours. Like you know, now you know, and knowledge is power.
absolutely.
And that's the magic of this, is that you don't have to be perfect. Like it's not about that. It's about being human and having a technology. This is a human technology that is incredibly powerful for you. And it's so life-changing. I'm so thrilled we met.
Me too. Me too.
So glad that I also am just so glad that you noticed when your son got to the point, it's like, oh, it's time, Yeah. And people will say to me, I wish I did this years ago. Well, we can't. So let's just be present to future.
Right.
Present to future. Because if we had this technology years ago, a lot would have been a lot different, but we didn't. So it's okay. And I'm really glad you gave it to your son, because it's like, you never know when he's going to hit a situation where pressure free literally saves him.
Right.
Because he can make a good decision or not overreact when he hits slippery ice. Do you know what I mean? Like all those things that was a big one for me as a driver. I hit slippery ice and immediately I would go into fight or flight. I'm like clutching the steering wheel, and that doesn't make you a good driver.
No. No.
So play with him while he's practice driving, staying in the zone, staying pressure free.
Right.
It'll be amazing. Well, let me see what my lineup is here. I think the next person should be coming in here soon. Anything else you want to share before we end our session together?
Trying to think. There was so many tools that I feel like helped me. I mean, from the posture to the relaxing of your stomach muscles, just so many amazing tools that have helped. And like, there's so many, and I don't know. I think that everybody should learn these tools just because the stress, it's so hard on us. It's so completely hard on us. And being from before to where you can be after, it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's like, I don't know what word I'm thinking of, but it's just relieving. It's just really empowering to be able to overcome that.
Oh, empowering is a really great word.
Yes.
It's a part of my foundation of belief for what I try to do. I don't want to hold your hand for 30 years. I want to be your friend for 30 years, right?
Right.
I just want to empower you with this technology so you're off and running. You can use it anywhere, anytime, no matter what's hitting you, what's coming up. People are bringing students back to college right now. And when we brought our oldest to college, all of a sudden there's an ambulance and flashing lights. One of the dads had a heart attack.
Oh no.
Bringing his child to college. And it's a super stressful thing, not just for the child, but for the parents, to bring a child to school for the first time. All those kinds of transitions, or your school going from middle school to high school or high school to college, like all those little transition points, or you move and now you've got a new environment, and who are your kids' friends going to be, like all the things, or a group of friends, this is your kid, like there's so much. And when you said there's so much unnecessary suffering, that's what I believe. We can reduce so much of this unnecessary suffering just by learning the pressure-free method, because there's enough already.
Yeah, that is true.
There's enough already. And if we can get out of the stress response, we're going to like drastically reduce anxiety, drastically reduce mental health issues, physical health issues, like just the bottom line kind of things.
Right.
Yeah. Well, this has
So
been
one more
wonderful.
thing that I remember is when you had us write in our calendar for events that we needed to do, that you would have us write a word associated with that. I absolutely love that, because it makes me go, like, especially for like something that I have to do that I'm not super excited about, where if I write a word like amazing, then it just makes me feel amazing, and it makes me go, okay, this is a good thing, you know, and it really helps. So Michael's word, if you remember, was glorious, and you were like, oh, I love that. So I have it written on the whiteboard above his head where he has his computer here at home. And so I wrote there, I get to do my homework, glorious, like it's glorious. And so that's the phrase that I have up above in his whiteboard, just sitting out there, and it just stays there. And, you know, and I'll tell him like, have a glorious day. And he just laughs, and, you know,
Oh my
so
God.
it really helps, especially on those things that just you're not super excited about doing, you know,
Right.
you know, by mapping out your day and putting those power words next to them, it's really powering. I mean, it's great.
It
It's
is
really
great.
helpful. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So,
I love it so much. But yeah, it is empowering. It is, you know, some people think, oh, that's kind of a silly thing to do, but I'm telling you, the people that I have, that my clients who really kind of do that, I see so much enormous change for them happen, because they're finally putting their stamp on it, their intention.
right.
Otherwise, we're letting the dental appointment decide how we feel. We're letting, you know,
Exactly.
we're letting, why do we allow so much to control us? It's just habit, and no one's taught us otherwise.
Right.
And again, we talked earlier with another group about the power of words, slogan, questions. And this is another way that words are really impactful. Another tool I have that use words. I have several that use words, several that use the mind, several that use the body, and several that use what I call life design. This is in that life goal setting thing. And so yeah, can I teach that with you on here? Because I think
absolutely.
Yeah. So I have a 3-step goal setting little tool that I use with my clients, and its purpose is to really get momentum going on how you want your life to be and what you want to see happen in it. So the first step is to, top of mind, just write down goals, dreams, visions you have for yourself. It can be for tomorrow. It can be for 20 years from now. Time frame doesn't matter. And I really like people to get out of the box with thinking, oh, my goals are, right? No, kind of free flow it. Get it out there. Just write a few of them and then look at them and add 2 little actions that you really want to commit to doing in the next 24 hours. It could just be like, if it's a homework thing, okay, I'm going to spend 10 minutes rereading that passage in my homework. It doesn't have to be huge, but if you put a little momentum into any of these goals or dreams you have for yourself, it just gets it spinning. You're activating your actual goals and dreams. And then the 3rd step that Cherie put it so well, next to the things on your calendar, I have a planner here, I use a pressure-free planner. You write a word next to whatever it is, and that word describes not the outcome, but how you wish to show up or feel while you're doing it. So Michael's is glorious. What are some of your favorites?
I like amazing. What's some other ones I've used that I really like? I mean, I'll use something simple, just it's going to be great, or just, I cannot even think of the words that I've been using. I kind of rotate between all of them. Amazing, happy. Yeah, I cannot even think of what I write. I actually have gone into like online and put what are some empowering words, and I'll like grab words on there, and I'll just do some random things, and I'll just look, and I can't think of what those words are right now, but I've done that where I just go online and I'm like, what are some awesome words to use? But awesome, amazing, great, happy, things like that. And I'll use glorious on Michael's, because he taught me that word, and I never would have thought
I'm not
one.
particularly creative here either. I mean, I have my standards, my standard words. But that's all it takes, because those words mean something to you.
Right.
And so it's like, yeah, I'm gonna have an amazing dental appointment today.
Yes. I think I use amazing the majority of the time, it seems like, just because that's just a good word that I like. So
it's one of mine. Yeah. I use fabulous. I use exquisite. I like that word a lot.
Yes.
But I remember once, a few times, whenever I have an appointment, I put a word, and once I put amazingness to a dental appointment, and I get a call from the hygienist, my dental appointment set, asking, there was a blizzard. And she goes, are you coming in today? Because a lot of people are canceling. We're all here if you can make it. And I go, well, I can walk, because I lived in the neighborhood, like, I don't know, 3/4 of a mile away. Like, I can walk, I'll be in my sweats, but who cares? So I go, and I'm getting my teeth cleaned, and the dentist comes in, and I've been telling him about Pressure Free, right? He comes in and he's taking a look at my mouth, and he goes, well, I have my whole crew in today, and I've been thinking about hiring you to coach our crew. Would you coach us today at noon? Because we're not getting anybody in. I've gotten everybody, and I've got my whole team here for the whole day. So he goes, listen, I want to pay for your whole course, by the way, so he wrote a check. And did I have an amazing dental appointment, right?
Yeah.
And I go, like, I was in my sweats and all sweaty. I go, well, at least let me go home. I'm going to get my teeth cleaned. I'll go home, take a shower, and walk back down. Okay. So I was like, all sweaty. And so I actually got a whole client, to.
That's awesome.
I was having a great time at the dental office.
That's great.
If I'd been having a crappy time, if I was fearful about going to the dentist and having a crappy time every time, I never would have told him about my business.
Right.
And if I was like in a bad mood in the chair when he came to look, he certainly wouldn't have asked me to coach. You know what I mean?
Right.
So how we show up matters.
Absolutely.
It really does. And not just out in the outside world, but in our homes.
Mm-hmm.
How many times are we one person out there and another person here? There's the classic, come on, kids, hello, Ingalls residence, right?
Yes.
It's so funny. So how we show up matters. You talked about, the posture, going wide with your posture.
Yes.
And just being able to lengthen your belly. I want to reiterate, we started the whole day with this, but a lot of people do crunches to try and get their abs good. No other animal on the planet does crunches to strengthen their abs, do they? Can you think of a single animal? Actually, dogs and cats, they stretch to strengthen their abs. They go this way.
Huh.
We're not supposed to be crunched over.
Right.
We're supposed to open up.
Right.
I've just been thinking about that lately, like really observing other animals. Birds even stretch, right?
Right.
So they open and close, but they never go beyond this point unless they're afraid.
Right.
So I don't know why we're doing so many crunches, because it's not really a good idea. It's supposed to go this way. You can actually be amazing with your abs, because these are the muscles we need to work anyway, the side body muscles.
Right.
So opening up does a couple things in your family life. Now you're open and receptive to your partner, to your kids, to your pets. You have pets, don't you?
We actually just got a dog this week, a little puppy. Yeah.
So your dog will resonate with pressure free, because like if someone comes to the door and the dog barks, don't overreact. Just relax your abs, and after a while the dog will probably stop barking. But if you tense up, the dog will bark more. You can play with this. It's really
it makes sense. It makes sense.
They super get us. So they respond. If you tense up, they're like, oh, I've got to protect even more.
Right.
If you relax, they're like, oh, my pack leader is saying everything is fine here.
Yeah. And in fact, that's another tool of yours that you just remind me of that I haven't used for a little while. Is the opening up and having your arms kind of like in an open gesture. Whereas if, like you said, if I walk into a room and I'm all hunched up, then it just sets the mood. Whereas if I walk in, I'm relaxed and I'm open, my kids are usually more open to, do things or.
Yeah, they'll interact.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Same thing with our face, RBF. Walking around like that, right?
Right.
We'll be great out in public and we'll come on like, oh my God, I had a horrible day. Like, what face are you giving the people you love the most?
Right.
And when you're in that face, you're shutting off dopamine. You're actually telling yourself to be miserable. So that's why the smile is so important. And a lot of people will say, fake smiling doesn't work. They're missing the timing. See, the key to pressure free is the timing, right, Shuri?
Right.
It's the timing. It's understanding. I teach you a full understanding of the stress response. So more than what a physician knows and a psychologist and therapist knows. Like I know because I've coached them. And every physician, every therapist that I've coached are like, I don't know this. So who's that?
That's Talise coming in.
Talise?
Oh, our door is squeaky. Come here.
You want to come say hi again?
Come say hi.
Hi, Talise.
Say hi.
How are you?
She's good.
Are you good? Her hair's gotten so long.
We've been learning how to potty train. Yeah. Been exciting, huh?
Yeah. Exciting. Yeah. Now, do you have a boy and a girl?
Yes.
Twins, right?
Yes.
Here's something. How are they doing potty training wise?
Oh, we tried with him for one day and he's not ready. He's wearing pull-ups and she's in underwear.
Okay. So here's what I learned, and this is so important for all parents of boys out there. There's a nerve that has to develop for you to understand when you need to go to the bathroom or not. It develops much later in most boys.
Which makes sense.
Yep. And so people who push their boy, I work with men who still have issues as adults because they were pushed. So you can't push someone who can't feel it yet.
Yeah, we kind of said, okay, you're not ready, so he'll let me know after he goes pee, which that I know is a step. So we're headed in the right direction. Yeah. But she was ready. So we figured we'd try him as well, and he's just not ready yet. But that's okay because.
So one of my sons, I won't mention which one out of privacy, but one of my sons, it was like almost 4, 3.5, almost 4. And that was, that was really interesting to me. And luckily I had heard someone who at the cow company, they brought in a specialist on potty training, and my friend heard the thing, told me about it. And I'm like, this is important. So if you have one going into preschool, they have to be potty trained before. It's like, we were getting a little nervous. It wasn't going to happen in time, right? You can't push it. You can't push it. And so especially for boys, and boys can feel very inferior and not good enough from that one experience for the whole rest of their life.
Wow.
It's important, to be gentle about that.
Yeah. All I have to say though is thank you for Pressure Free on that one day when he would pee and I'd be like, uh-oh, and I'd be like, it's okay. And it was so much easier going into it. And that's when I was like, hey, you just can wear a pull-up, you just let me know and we'll just watch for signs. And it's definitely, potty training the twins has been less stressful for me than it was potty training Josh, my 10-year-old, way back when. That was hard. I remember it being so hard. So I was terrified about potty training these two. And, it's been a lot easier actually.
Well, I wish I knew you back then to tell you about the boy thing. Cause I would have known.
Well, I knew boys were a little bit later on. So I just said, we're just going to try it. And if you're not ready, it's fine. It's fine. When you're ready, you're ready. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, giving us some extra time today.
No problem. Thank you.
Yeah. And
goodbye. Bye.
Bye. Bye, Ties. We have our next guest here in the house, and we'll go ahead and go a little early if you're ready, Katie.
I'm ready.
Beautiful. Cherie, this is Katie. Katie, this is Cherie. Looks like she just left.
No.
Just to let you know, earlier we got Zoom bombed.
Oh.
Have you ever had that happen?
I have not. I've heard of it, but I've never had it happen to me.
It was, well, I just thought people were coming in to maybe hear our next speaker, right? So I was letting people in. All of a sudden we got a guy eating potato chips, people swearing, people like the whole thing that you hear about. Katie, it happens. Thank God for Pressure Free, or I would I didn't really know what to do. But I wrongly assumed that these people would be, coming into the conference. So we're just going to be you and me, and we're just going to do a beautiful session. Okay.
All right.
So, and this is recorded, as you saw. So,
yes,
I'm going to be deciding how I use it and split it all up after this. But that was really something else to have that happen.
Wow. Yikes.
So if you happen to have, you might see somebody trying to come in. I will not be admitting anybody unless.
I understand.
Yeah. We don't need to have that happen. So definitely a learning experience for me today. So we're going to start this kind of fresh. I'll kick it off and then introduce you, and we'll just kind of real free form it. Okay.
Okay.
How are you?
I'm good. I got out of my boot from my surgery. I'm in PT, so just going with the flow now.
Beautiful. That's so good. Wow. All right. So, hi, everybody. Elle Ingalls here with Pressure Free Living. I'm the creator of the Pressure Free Method, which is an on-the-go stress management method to help you up-level your health and performance, both mentally and physically. And I have a special guest for this segment of the 2021 Back to School Conference. It's a student. And I asked the student to just spend some time with me to really kind of go deep on some of the stressors that students are experiencing today at the high school level, and also what they see happening with their peers, with teachers, with educators, with, it's just kind of a really crazy time. And then also share some of her experience of what it was like to work with me in Pressure Free. And it wasn't too long ago that we worked together, huh, Katie?
No, it was 6 months?
I think about 6 months ago. Yeah.
February.
Wow. So so introduce yourself. Tell us what you're up to, and then we'll just kind of freeform it here, okay?
All right. My name is Katie Bailey. I am a junior at Quincy High School in Quincy. I do a lot of extracurriculars, and that was when I figured out that I need pressure free.
Yeah. So tell them about some of your extracurriculars, because I have to share. So I do a strategy call with anyone interested in learning more. So Katie and I get on our strategy call together, and that's a free call. And when I started to ask her about some of her goals and dreams, the first thing she says is, well, I want to be a US Senator. Right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is the first thing I said.
I think so.
Yeah, you were kind of shocked at first.
I just had never had anybody come on in the strategy call and say that. So
there's always a first time for something.
Yeah. So tell us about some of your extracurriculars, what you do.
I am a varsity softball player. I'm a utility player, so I play both outfield and infield all the time. I'm everywhere. I do theater. I've been in 12 different plays and musicals, and I do 2 of those a year. And then I also do student council. I am the current secretary at my school. I am the vice president of Green Club at my school, and then I do youth in government through the YMCA. And I am the chair of my school.
Wow, that's all that you do. So yes. I wanted you to bring that forward because I tend to work with people for whom I say they have a wide bandwidth. They do a lot of things. And they don't just do them, they lead them.
Yeah.
Right? And that's because that's how I am. Like I do a lot of different things. And so I attract people who really want to achieve a lot in their life. They're not going to just settle, right, Katie?
Yes.
You're not going to just settle. So you learned about pressure free from your mom, is that correct?
Yes. Elle, you met my mom probably 6 years ago through a mutual friend, through a company called Melaleuca. You were at the same party as my mom, and then she's followed you on Facebook ever since. And then one day I had a rough day and she's like, all right, we're going to text Elle. And I was like, I have no clue who that is, but okay. And then we had our first meeting.
We did. It was incredible. And so if you're willing to share, what were some of the feelings that you were experiencing that you really didn't like and wanted to change?
I had frequent panic attacks. I had them almost every day. I would go into a certain class every day and I would start crying, and I could not get through the class to save my life. And then I'd hyperventilate, and then I felt like I was going to pass out. And that was every day of the same class it was February when I came in. So September, it's 5 months.
Oh my goodness. Wow. I didn't realize it was that long that you were experiencing that. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So panic attacks are no fun. They're no fun. And it can feel like you can never get out of that, by the way. Right? So we worked together. I'm curious, have you had a panic attack since?
I had one.
One.
And that was, I had one.
You've had one. And you used to have them every day.
Yes. So I'm doing much better.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Yes. And actually, it's kind of cool that you had one, because we're human beings. And things are going to shift and change, and something unexpected is going to hit us. And so, yeah, there will be moments where we do go back into fight or flight, or have, in your case, the full-blown panic attack. And so the key is to not beat yourself up, right? I mean, put your tool belt back on, get back on the horse,
Yeah, beforehand, I didn't know how to get over them. I didn't know how to get out of the panic attack and then start life again. I was just constantly stuck in this state of panic. And then I was now I'm able to get out of them. I've had one and I was able to get out of it. And it felt so much better after that. I panicked for an hour and a half, and then I was like, okay, it's time to get back to life. I can't do this again. And I was able to use things you taught me, and then I was fine. and it was amazing and I loved it.
Oh my gosh. And with everything that you're doing, it's incredible that you were able to do everything you were doing and still be experiencing that, which meant you were in the stress response constantly, because it only takes once a day. So you were in the stress response constantly and yet still able to do all those things. So now what's different for you? Like, what do you see that's different for you?
I enjoy them. Like, it felt so robotic for so long that like it was, I have to go to softball and then I have to go to student council and then I have to do my homework. And now it's like, no, I get to go play softball. I get to go have fun at softball practice. I'm not worried that like my coach is going to yell at me because I did something wrong. I'm like, it's a learning experience. And it's this whole like mindset switch of like, it's okay. Like, I get to do these things. I don't have to do them. And I've just like really found enjoyment in things again. And that is actually my YIG campaign is like, I stressed so much my first year of YIG, but now I find it fun. And like,
Wow.
I think I know Pressure Free helped me with that.
Yeah. And what is this campaign?
I am running for Youth and Government Youth Governor. So I will be leading the late conference if I win. So I get to start that campaign this year and I'm very excited.
Oh my goodness. So I see this joie de vivre, this like, okay, you love life again.
Yes.
And I love how you called it robotic before, because there are a lot of high achieving teens and college students whose life has become extremely robotic. They're doing all the things right. They're doing, they're checking everything off the resume so they can get into this college or whatever the thing is, right? But it's not really living.
Yeah, I felt like, all right, I gotta go do this and I gotta go do this. And I just felt like I was checking boxes. And now I like get to enjoy these things and it makes it so much more fun to like go into these meetings and have fun instead of dreading them.
How has that changed your situation with relationships and friendships and even like your folks? Like, what do you see there?
I think we're all happier. Like, I'm not so constantly in this state of worry that like I get to live life and I don't feel like I'm constantly weighed down by something like crazy. And like I get along with my parents better. I get along with my friends better. I get along with my brother better. And it's like, it's a whole new world.
Oh, I honestly didn't expect all this. Like, this is so incredible, Katie, because it's only been 6 months. I mean, you started with me in February and we did the 6 sessions. I think I did an extra one with you too. So it's like 7 sessions. Mm-hmm. We're now 6 months away from there and look at how much has changed so quickly. Like, this is incredible. This is incredible. I can't even, I'm kind of speechless. It's hard for me to be speechless. You know me well enough to know that. But I really am kind of speechless in this moment, just thinking back to when we started together. And I'll tell you that when we first started together and you described the panic attacks to me, and this is part of being a coach, like inside my heart was just like, so I so wanted to help you. Like, I trust my method. I trust my method that my method can help you. But then the little doubt can come in, like this. I knew you'd been having them for a while. I didn't know how long, but I was like, I knew you've been having them for a while. And so I'm like, this little bit of trepidation, but oh my goodness. I mean, this is really phenomenal for you. It's beautiful. Yeah. What are some of your favorite tools that you like to use that are pressure-free tools?
I like the slogan one. I have a whiteboard in my locker. Well, I have one I'm putting in my locker and I have a whiteboard marker. I'm going to change it every day to something new. But like, I have ones that I constantly tell myself in my head all the time. Those help a lot.
What are some of your favorite slogans? I want to hear
them. There are a lot of song lyrics. I'm a musical theater fan, so I find a lot of like weird little quotes in those that I like to use. So like my favorite one is from Newsies. It's about the newsboy strike in like the 1920s, and it's "The world is your oyster." That's probably one of my favorites because pearls come out of oysters, and I like to think of myself as like, I'm gonna come out of this and I'm gonna be better and I'm gonna be awesome and it's gonna be great and people are gonna love me. You Will Be Found, that's from a musical. That one's like when you start to slip into the like panic, it's like, no, people are here. You've got people around you who can help you. Those are probably my two
Yeah.
favorites.
Oh, that's so beautiful. That's really beautiful. I'm feeling compelled to share something that I'm in a leadership program right now. It's a very, very intense leadership program. It's probably the most intense work I've ever done. It's like a 5-week program. My husband is actually going through it right now. And in the last little bit that we did, in an exercise and experience we went through, I came out and realized, especially being a classically trained musician and violinist, that for so much of my life, I was looking to perform to get approval that what I'd done was good enough. From my professors, from my conductors, from an audience. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The experience that I had last week that I went through, when I came out the other side of that experience, it was like, oh, no, I don't need any of that approval whatsoever. I don't need approval. Guidance is nice. Appreciation is nice. But I don't need anybody else's approval of me. And it was this huge, real big change, like in my whole being, to think that. And also, as a coach, as a teacher, as the person that I am in the world, I don't want the people that I work with to be seeking my approval. Does that make sense, Katie? It's
Yeah.
like this subtle difference between approval and guidance or appreciation. And I'm sharing it with you because, especially as you're in a campaign, right?
Yes.
There's the phrase, I approve of this message, right? But you're like seeking votes, you know? So that's just kind of interesting to play with for the particular things you're thinking of doing with. I don't know, I feel like just sharing with you right now. So coming out. So words are powerful to you. The slogan
Yes.
tool is a powerful one for you. Do you use any of the body tools I shared with you?
The looking over things, like sit up, take a deep breath, look over things. I like that one a lot because I feel like I'm not like pinpointing things down. Like I'm looking over it and I'm like, it's okay, deep breath. There's something on the other side. It's either a learning experience, it's always learning experience. And there can be like great outcomes and there can also be like setbacks, but that's okay because there's always that finish line we're going to get to.
Oh, that's really beautiful. And you're the kind of person that's getting us across the finish line. You're a leader. Like you get people, right? You get people across the finish line. It's just a part of your makeup naturally. And so the fact that that's a tool for you makes so much sense because it's when we get stuck, you know, or trigger fight or flight that we feel like we can't get across the finish line. So that's really beautiful. And I've never heard anybody describe it like that. Like I think of it as staying above the line and you're going way beyond it. I love it. It's so cool. So I just think it's so cool how people take these little concepts I share and then morph and change them for how their personality needs it. It's really a beautiful thing. What do you see as some of the stressors that students are experiencing today, Katie?
Going back to school, like we're all between the pandemic and not having a normal school year for 2 years, we're all stressed. Like I don't like to speak for everyone, but everyone I've talked to is like, I don't want to go back because we know it's not going to be normal.
Wow. That's so interesting. And they're already
scary.
Assuming that it's not going to be good, which is really interesting.
Yeah. We had our school open house and I was there. I was running our youth and government booth and people are like, I was like, are you ready to be back? They're like, no, I don't want to come back. Like people are so scared of the unknown and like the idea that things change that I think that's a huge thing that's stressing a lot of teens out.
Yeah, for sure. And so you were actually at a booth, operating a booth, you know, to share about student government.
Yes. I was helping like get people signed up for it and getting like an interest board basically going. And I got to talk to a lot of people that like I haven't seen because we were split for so long, and people were at home and people were at school, and you just didn't see everyone, and it was nice to see everyone, but we're all apprehensive to go back.
Wow, interesting. And so you're interacting with students and administrators too. What stressors do you see them experiencing right now?
Well, my mom's a teacher and she got a new job, so she's like constantly stressed.
Ah.
But I think from like the teachers that I have in the high school and like my principal and our athletic directors, like also the unknown, like this year could go on perfectly fine, or in March on the 13th or the Friday or whatever it's going to be, it could all go down the drain again. Like no one knows what's going to happen, and that scares them. And I think having students who are scared makes it harder for them because they don't know how to teach us as much and don't know how to get to us. So I think they're worried.
And you know why? Because every one of those students can't hear and can't see. So they're sitting in those classrooms with their sensory ability shut down because of fight or flight. But also, when teachers are in fight or flight, and pretty much everybody is, unless they've understood how to break the stress cycle because of how long the stress hormones last, right? So the influence of a stressed teacher on a whole classroom, it's almost like people, I feel like, okay, before people drive, before people get in front of a class, they should have to take a test. Let's take a blood test to see, okay, no, you got way too much adrenaline, and we can't go in today. We'll take you off the road because you're gonna have some road rage, right? But it's just crazy. It is crazy, and it impacts in ways people don't understand. But stress is contagious. And if one person is stressed, it will infiltrate and affect so quickly, and then no one is actually perceiving and actually seeing and being effective.
Yeah.
So it's really wow, I didn't know it was quite this bad, but I'm guessing it is. I don't have kids. I have one going back to college now, and but I can only imagine because there's so much unknown, and it's in the case of something that's as strong a disease as this, a virus as this, you just don't know.
Yeah.
You just don't know. So wow. So how do you see, you've got this tool belt now, you're using your tools, you're moving forward. What would you say, what are some things that you think are now possible for you that maybe before you just had a little bit of doubt or to think that could happen or this could happen? What is now possible for you, Katie?
I would honestly think I could win this election for youth in government. Like I was last year sitting there watching, we did it virtually, which was odd because it was my first year doing it virtually, but sitting there like watching the people who were running, I was like, oh, I can't do this. I'm not gonna be able to do it. But like I feel like I can, I feel like I can go talk to these people that I need to talk to and do this with a smile on my face because I feel like I'd be so nervous. But I feel like I can go and I can win this because I can make the friends and I can make the connections, and I couldn't have done that before.
Oh my goodness. That's really beautiful. That is incredible. And so what you're doing is unlocking your gifts and talents at a really deep level, right?
Yeah.
Because that, it's not only winning, but then when you're in, how you serve. From the moment you and I got on camera together, I'm like, oh, Katie, you're a servant leader. Like, servant leader wants to serve and lead and make the world a better place. Right?
Yeah.
It's good. That's what I am. And that's what I've known I was since I was a little tiny girl. So it's like, yes. And a lot of people feel that way, but they feel trapped because of those stress hormones, like they can't make a difference. Even within their own homes, they can't make a difference because stress is the operating system. They're stuck in a poor operating system as a human, and then within the system. And honestly, right now, what I feel is our schools are become very poor operating systems, even before COVID. Because again, if we took a little test, everybody standing in front of the class is under the influence of stress hormones and doesn't know it.
Yeah.
Because and it's like all the myths. I should bring out some of the myths. So one of the myths is, do yoga, exercise, you'll be fine.
Yeah, no.
It's not how stress
I tried
works.
it.
You tried it.
I tried it. It didn't work.
Take this pill and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's not how stress works.
No, I tried so many like natural stress reducing methods and none of them worked.
No,
It was like,
none of them work.
try
And-
this lavender pill and no, it didn't work. Or try yoga and no, it didn't work.
And those are all really great things to do. They can preempt and they can help you. But unless you understand what the stress response is, what it does to you, and how to effectively stop it, that's the only way to truly de-stress. And that's what we teach you here at Pressure Free. And was it hard for you to learn from me?
No. It felt like just a normal conversation. Like I felt like we were sitting face to face having a conversation most of the time. So.
And was it hard to start using the Pressure Free method in your life?
At first, I was like apprehensive, like, I don't know if this will work, but it works. And like once I realized that, it was easy. They're such easy things to implement every day that you can just like start and you don't stop. Like you don't even realize you're doing them most of the time because they're so ingrained into that. Like, take a deep breath, sit up, look over things. Like I do it naturally now. I don't have to do step by step in my brain anymore.
Right. Oh my gosh. Nora was on here earlier. She's a high school student too. She came on with her dad. And she said the same thing. It's just so natural now that I instantly do it. And I don't even realizing I'm keeping myself pressure free in all these situations. And the situations can bombard you. This person, that person, this teacher, this homework assignment,
Yes.
We can get bombarded by stressors and challenges. And so when you prevent that, you change everything. You change the trajectory of every area of your life. So, wow. Is there anything else that you would like to share in this conversation here?
Do what makes you happy. Like pick the tools that work best for you. Understand that like your stress response is different from mine. You're probably not going to have panic attacks every day, but you do have these little tics that like you notice that before you get stressed, like, oh, I'm picking at my nails. That's something I used to do a lot. And like now I notice and I'm like, no, deep breath, stop it. You're fine. And it's different for everyone, but you have to be able to put the work in to help yourself later on.
Oh, I love that so much. I call that front end work. Do the front end work.
Yeah.
And then amazing things can start to happen in your life. That's really beautiful. Well, Katie, it's been such a pleasure to have you on here with me. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate you really being honest with what was going on with you, because a lot of people would hide, want to hide. We want to hide the things that aren't working for us, and when you share, it's like acknowledgement sets you free.
Yeah.
And because a lot of kids, they don't even tell their parents. A lot of students don't even tell their parents what they're going through.
I didn't tell my parents at first. I hid it until I had a really bad panic attack, and then my guidance counselor called my mom. So
and you didn't have a choice.
I didn't have a choice. Don't hide it. For students, I guess this goes for students really. Don't hide things. There are people who can help you. Your parents are one of them. They want to help you and they want you to succeed in life, and that's something you have to understand before you take that step into setting your life higher.
Yes, absolutely. And there's still a big mental health stigma.
Yes.
And so realize that you can get help, and it can save your life, not just change your life, but save your life.
Yes.
And Pressure Free is here to help you. We are here to help you. We are here to share these tools with you. You can take an online course. You can work with me personally. There's so much that's here for me. You can just go on my YouTube. I have people just go on my YouTube channel and watch thousands of videos. Like whatever you need to do, in order to, have this make a difference in your life. And it doesn't matter what age you are. I really, it's an honor for me to work with people as young as Tracy. I just love, Katie, Tracy's your mom. With Katie, with Nora, who came on today too, it's like working with you at your age, like I can't even imagine what's going to happen for your life.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
I am too. Well, Katie, thank you so much. And were those your dogs, by the way?
Yeah, I think my mom just got home. So they're excited to see her.
Absolutely. I love it. Well, thank you so much, and take care of yourself. Keep in touch, please. And
I will.
Yeah, have a beautiful, incredible junior year.
Thank you. Thank you so much for everything.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, Katie. Thank you so much for being on our conference today. Apologize for the Zoom bombing. That was quite an experience for those of you who experienced it. And I'm just so grateful that you were here. You learned from all these different speakers and also from some of my clients today. So I'm wishing you just a fabulous pressure-free day. Bye.